Hi there everyone, Jeff C. here. It is Friday, January the 24th, a frigid Friday, January the 24th, frickin' cold here in Montreal, as usual. But we've got some kind of nice news coming out of the corporate media that might warm your spirits somewhat. This coming off the Financial Times. CNN cuts more than 40 journalists. I didn't even know they employed journalists. I thought they were propagandists or actors. Really? They have journalists, actual journalists working for CNN? You learn something new every day. CNN has cut more than 40 senior journalists from its news gathering operation. Including a producer who was 2 weeks away from giving birth to twins as part of a reorganization of the business under its president, Jeff Zucker. The cutting production and editorial staff at the Time Warner-owned group comes as Mr. Zucker tries to reestablish CNN as the dominant force in 24-hour cable news, a crown it lost several years ago to Fox News. It's just so crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's like the battle of who's got the best propaganda. And I think as an outside guy who watches clips here and there from CNN and Fox, it's a pretty tough call. But I'd have to say CNN really is nothing but propaganda. 100%. They do not do news. Ask, was it Amber Lyon, who had the whole Bahrain story that was completely censored and not even aired. I mean, there's so many examples. The cuts coincide with changes to the network's programming. Mr. Zucker has hired presenters and diversified CNN's output, adding documentary and reality series to its traditional live news coverage. A CNN spokesman said that it would add about 100 people to its headcount this year, adding that the network was investing in journalism. They're investing in journalism by expanding into the reality television. We're not abandoning the news by any stretch of the imagination. You see, we're expanding the definition of the news. There will be more people working at CNN today than last year. Wonderful. How is it possible? I mean, they have like the worst ratings in the world. And yet, well, of course, they're being funded by nefarious forces. However, Mr. Zucker's moves have failed to lift CNN's audiences into prime time, the crucial evening period when television networks generate most of their advertising revenue. The network continues to lag behind Fox News and recently hit a 20-year low in primetime ratings. Isn't that nice? Isn't it nice? I mean, we have to take some consolation in the fact that one of the biggest propaganda arms of the New World Order is just being ripped apart. I'm going to love it. All the money they sink into this, all the propaganda, all the bullshit, and yet they can't pull it off. The task of reviving CNN has dogged Jeff Buick since he became Time Warner's chief executive 6 years ago. At the end of 2012, he appointed Mr. Zucker, the former chief executive of NBC, to return it to its glory. I checked on Muckety here for his circle here. It's quite extensive. They scored very high, 96 on the Muckety scale. And what they do here is they show you all the connections that this guy has. So he's the executive producer of NBC Nightly News, president and CEO of NBC Universal, executive producer of Today, president of Harvard Crimson, overseer of Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, of course the CNN, trustee in the American Film Institute, director of the Robin Hood Foundation. We all know how powerful the Jews are in the corporate media in Hollywood. I mean, it's one and the same, right? I mean, it's all part of the same propaganda machine. Whether you're going to watch a Steven Spielberg movie or you're going to turn on CNN, you're going to get a very similar type of propaganda that is there. And it's crazy. I mean, just to see all the things that this guy has been in. And I'm not even clicking on these things to see where else they go. I'll leave the link for this below. very interesting to check out what these guys are connected to. Of course, if you go back on Breitbart, CNN throws in the towel, moves away from news, and this was in November, last November, 2013. And they're reporting here, CNN appears to be throwing in the towel, at least when it comes to cable news channel. With its ratings and reputation sinking, CNN announced Friday that the third place network will be investing heavily in everything except serious news gathering. This new focus will be towards a variety of unscripted formats, including other travel shows and immersive non-fiction programs. This also includes documentary films like Blackfish. I don't know what the Blackfish film is. I wish I did, actually. It's probably just another bullshit thing. But yeah, that CNN is propaganda, right? It's total propaganda. It's the worst type of propaganda that is out there. I mean, their flagship, I guess, their top guy would be Anderson Cooper, who I've broken down on Free Radio Revolution several times as being, well, he's part of the Vanderbilt family, and he is also a former CIA. So I mean, they're really. I mean, I'm preaching to the converted here, obviously. So I don't need to explain how CNN does nothing remotely that could be considered news. I mean, from when they have their anchors sitting in a parking lot like 40 feet away from each other, pretending they're on opposite sides of the city, and you see the same cars coming by, and they got their journalists faking that they're in Saudi Arabia and suffering from missile attacks and stuff like that, when they're really just in their studio. I mean, they've been doing it all along. CNN's the biggest joke there is. It's a History Channel. Have you ever seen the propaganda and the utter bullshit that they put on these 24-hour channels? Oh, they're all 24 hours now, right? But I think we can collectively, as alternative media, take this as a really good sign that they just can't keep up with what, the awakening that's happening. And this is proof, right? This is just another perfect piece of proof to show how far the corporate dinosaur media has fallen. And they're trying to get into the alternative media. I mean, they have their dumb turds type of channels that come out and gain popularity, but they're being exposed left, right, and center. Just to give you an example, now I'll show this little clip here. I'm hoping I don't run out of time. Of course, I always try to show this so that the not too intelligent people that run Google understand that this is purely for criticism and non-profit. But look at how Justin Bieber becomes the news.
Jumpsuit, Justin Bieber faced the music, and we don't mean his own.
No, I didn't need to
This is the biggest mistake you could make.
At 19, his first mugshot, anchors alternated between analyzing his expression.
And he's smiling from ear to ear.
Well, I wouldn't be smiling if I were you, young Justin Drew Bieber.
And analyzing his hair.
Look at that hair. I mean, really.
His hair looks spectacular.
Reminiscent of young Frank Sinatra when he was arrested for adultery in 1938. One joker tweeted, "The Justin Bieber mugshots are in and they're incredible." The press wanted more than a mugshot. Photographers clung desperately to police station gates. We love you, Justin. They rested their cameras on their heads, got yelled at by police.
Hey, get off the friggin' car!
They peered through jailhouse chain link fencing.
Free Bieber!
And when Bieber was freed, they finally got a decent shot when he momentarily perched on top of an SUV. Remind you of anyone? Say Michael Jackson waving after pleading not guilty to charges of child molestation. Bieber sped off, leaving photographers in his dust. And then there's the minor matter of how to refer to the pop star.
Okay, we have to talk about Biebs.
Police say that Biebs' friends...
He was apparently with the Biebs this morning.
Mr. Bieber, you are charged with the following.
What's going on with Justin?
So I would say Justin Timberlake, if he
Bieber.
decides to... Justin
Watch out.
Bieber, oh, please.
Timberlake's a great
I apologize, Timberlake.
Online jokes like this circulated, captioned photo of Justin Bieber being arrested. The arrest and mugshot will have the impersonators mugging From SNL to Jimmy Fallon.
I'm Justin Bieber, and I'm gonna reflect for a minute if that's cool with you.
But will the real Justin Bieber reflect on his downward spiral while we obsess about his hair or Photoshop his makeup? At least his mugshot didn't look like Nick Nolte's.
What kind of volumizer that Justin Bieber uses in his hair? Because a lot of us go through great lengths to try to get that sort of height.
What kind of volumizer does Justin Bieber use in his hair? Because a lot of us go through great lengths to get that height. You know, it's sad because in a way this little, and this is off CNN, right? I mean, I'm sure you know that, right? But the fact that, you know, in a way this would be a way to parody the corporate media by saying, look at how obsessed they are over the complete, or look at how they're using the distraction to distract everybody, and look at how they're going on about his hair and his name, and they can't say his name right and all that. But really, this is a serious piece by CNN. It's just, this is CNN. This is what CNN is. And half the clips that they showed were actual CNN clips. They're not making fun of themselves. They're selling you the distraction. And I'm sure that if you were to compute the amount of time that this little Illuminati prick got on CNN the day or the day after he was arrested, I'm sure he would have been by far the biggest story, and probably of the week as well. And as you see, many of those clips that they were showing were actually CNN clips, right? Another one here, Aaron Burnett, right? This hideous creature. And then they talked about how it reminds you of Michael Jackson. Remember the last time you got really distracted by a celebrity? Right? Remember when the last celebrity had their meltdown? Well, that's what it reminds you of. So now we're going through it again. And this is how these stories feed themselves, because the story, initial story, just becomes a vehicle for all these sub-stories, right? Like Justin Bieber's hair. How did he get his hair like that? Next thing you know, the dumb turds will be trying hair products, right? And they'll be asking the guy sitting behind the computer to try it out. Did you try it? Did you try the hair thing? No, I didn't try it. No, you don't like Justin Bieber? No, I'm not interested in getting that hairdo. But that's how these stories feed themselves. They're non-stories. They bring up Frank Sinatra because they want him to be the new Frank Sinatra. Of course, he's either going to take a fall and go on Skid Row a la Lindsay Lohan, or he's going to revive his career and clean himself up for a bit until they decide to kill him. Right? But it shouldn't be news at all. It's just a joke. It's not news. It's all distraction. And that is what MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, it's all distraction. It's all distraction all the time. There isn't news on these channels. These channels don't cover news. They make news. They create news. The corporate media is in the business of creating the stories that they want people to follow. So Justin Bieber is the Miley Cyrus twerking of this past week, right? And every now and again, when they want to distract everybody from the TPP, when they want to distract everybody from Syria or from other things that are happening, Ukraine, they will just throw one of these stories out. They'll get one of these Illuminati mind-controlled program slaves to do their little dirty dance or whatever, and then they run the whole story. And they'll run, I mean, how long did they run with the Miley Cyrus thing? It seemed like for an eternity. I think they still go on about it. I bet if you Googled it, you'd still find articles in mainstream media about Miley Cyrus twerking. It's all a joke, and it's all needs to be completely abandoned. People don't just need to turn away from CNN. They need to turn away from television, period. Like, completely. And find completely different sources for all your news. Sources that haven't been compromised. Sources that aren't being controlled. Anyways, there you go. Have a good one. Leave your comments.